One of the things that you might find a little frustrating is if you've got data in a table from a spreadsheet, then the common way of sharing that between different applications is normally through a CSV file, for example, as an export from ShareScope, and you can import it into Excel, you can import it into a Google Sheet. But to actually get it into NotebookLM, you need to put it into a PDF. There's no way of actually loading a CSV file, which is a little bit unfortunate, but there's various workarounds. The easy one is to actually print a document. So if you take your CSV file and print it as a PDF and then load that. So that's what I'm going to do here. You can see by the title here, I'm going to take a look at the US gold sector, see if there's any good value companies. To do that, I'm going to add a source and the box comes up. And while I'm here, just point out that with the Pro version NotebookLM-Plus, as you can see, you can load up to 300 sources, and each one of those sources can be up to 25 megabytes. So you can get an awful lot of data in one notebook. That's extremely useful if you were having, say, a notebook for a particular company and you wanted to collect a lot of documents over time. You just need to be sure that you've taken a backup just in case anything changes with NotebookLM and they drop their storage of your data. So let's upload a PDF. So we'll click the button in the middle for upload resources. And here's the PDF, which I've saved from ShareScope, as you can see today. So we select that and we open it. And in a second, that'll import it. And you'll see it appear on the left-hand side. And there we are. We've got a suitable icon applied and got the data snapshot of US gold mining companies as of February 24th, 2025. Gives a range of financial metrics, etc. Gives you all the detail. And then what we can do is we can start interrogating it. Let's have a look at the prompts that it suggests. How do financial metrics like PSR and yield differ across US gold sector? Let's try that. It's come out with a little bit of a theoretical analysis. And the other interesting point here is that I didn't change any settings. And look how short that response is. If I go up to the top in the chat section, the center section, you can see that if I click these little settings here, I can change this. So I want to change it to analyst. I want a longer analysis of this, and I'm going to save it. So what I'm going to do is copy it, put it down here, paste it in, and try this again, and we'll see if we get something that's a little bit longer than that response there. So same prompt, and we've got a slightly longer analysis, and I'm going to say, please expand this analysis, just to make it even longer. You can see how you need to interact with the AI models, and this is not just something that's peculiar to NotebookLM. You often need a bit of back and forth with it to get what you want. As it starts, I'm an expert strategy consultant, assist you in analysing and understanding information, etc., etc. Looks at PE ratios, high PE ratios, moderate PE ratios, and low or negative. Price to sales ratio, high, moderate, low. Dividend yield, high, moderate, low, or no yield. What I'm going to do is save that to a note first. Remember that if I don't save it and I refresh this screen in the middle, I will lose that. Again, I'll just follow my normal practice of adding the date in the front. This time I've sorted my hotkeys so that I can do that a key press, and we'll save that by pressing the convert to source button at the bottom, and you can see the sources now appear on the left. Now, so before we do anything else, what I want to do is I want to come back and see what other questions are in here. And it talks about Aris Mining's net debt compared to market cap. I wonder why it's picked that particular company. We'll press the button and see, shall we? And again, I've got a interesting response. Trading 12 months net debt to market cap, including pension deficit and the forecast net debt. So trading net is 45, forecast net debt is 1.2. Now that is really interesting to me because that tells me very quickly that something significant is changing, because trailing net debt to market cap is the debt divided by the capitalization. Obviously, the capitalization is the same in both of those. Therefore, the net debt is coming down for the figure to drop, to go from 45 to 1.2. That's quite a significant change. That is certainly one that's changing significantly for the better, I would suspect. So click Save to Note. Again, I like to put the date at the front, which I can do just like that, and convert that to source. Let's see what else we've got. What does a higher P ratio indicate? We know what that is. We know how dividend yields are calculated. What does a lower PSR suggest? Well, let's just click that and just see if this is going to be a theoretical answer or anything that's practical. It says, would suggest a company is undervalued or has lower growth expectations relative to its peers. It's fair enough. And measures the market of a company relative to its revenue, potential, and gives some examples. BT PSR 1.9 considered lower may indicate or lower growth expectations. Caledonian Mining, PSR 1.2. Korea Mining, PSR of 2.1. Let's see if any of these have got earnings. And actually, let's go for cash flow. Let's look at operating cash flow. It may be in the table, it may not be. We'll have cash flow. Let's look at if any of them have got it. 4, and then we'll paste in those 3 columns. Compare the operating cash flow. Has got a PSR 1.9, price of 281.5. Source indicates a yield of 5.7. Additionally, has an operating cash conversion rate of 5.5 and a PE of 14.6. Broker consensus has outperformed. Caledonian Mining, as you can see, a yield of 5.3. Broker consensus outperformed. And CDE, yield of minus 6.3. And broker is outperformed. It's perhaps the worst of the 3, but certainly it gives us a clue as to some that might be worth looking at. Let's just ask it, using the resources, please suggest the top 10 stock for further analysis and your reason behind the decision. I think that's probably the way we'll phrase that. And then provide a table of the important key metrics for your... Let's see what happens when we press that. So we've got those previous notes have gone back in with the original data, all of them ticked as sources, and I'm going to send NotebookLM off to work, and we'll see what it comes up with. Fairly quick, as you can see. Just go back to the top of the note. Here's a suggestion for top 10 stocks for further analysis with the reasoning in the table of key metrics. Reasoning for the stock selection. It gives AEM, Barrick Gold, BTG, which came up, Caledonian Mining came up, Franco-Nevada, Kinross Gold, Wheaton Precious Metals, Koi Mining, and one down here called Cisco Gold Royalties, which I must admit I haven't come across. And then underneath, it's giving you a table of those 10, as I asked it to, and it's looking for next steps for further analysis, it's even giving you some suggestions of what to do. So I'm going to save all that to a note or code, but I'm also going to copy that, and I'm going to post it in to my database for the DIY investors, and I'm going to drop that in there, and I'm going to call that US Gold Sec Analysis. I'll come down into the body of the note and paste that, and straight away you can see that's dropped that in the same format, and that's where I can access that. I'm going to put myself down as the author, and I'll just put up here, cool, I think I've got a tag that says Mix Research. Here we are, Mix Research on the US gold sector, and I can add a tag in here for gold. If we come back to the analysis of the gold sector, I've saved it to a note, and I need to come across here in my normal way and just drop the date on the front of that, and I'll again convert that to a source. And the reason I'm doing that is that I can now, if I wish, use all those sources and get a briefing document, which is one of the standard methods of producing output within the studio. Just to refresh, we've got the sources on the left, we've got the chat box in the middle where we can interact with it, and there was a button here to change the settings, so I'd set it as analyst and looking for longer output. And on the studio on the right hand side, in addition to being the place where the notes are stored, where I've converted my responses in the middle to notes, and I've then passed those back over to use as sources, so I've got them in 2 places. But over here I've got standard options, a briefing document, study guide, frequently asked questions, and timeline. Or I can add another note for my own research, and I've got the audio overview, which will produce a podcast, and that would enable me or anybody else that I gave the link to listen to 2 hosts discussing this analysis, and I can also interact with that as well. What is probably the most useful one, I think so anyway, is a briefing document, because a briefing document is going to enable you to summarize everything. And again, you can store that in your research. We'll just generate that and I'll show you what that contains. Here's a briefing document and it's got title. And again, I'm just going to come up here and drop the date in the front. And here's briefing document analysis of US gold sector, gives you the date, executive summary. And it's come in and looked at that Aris Mining debt analysis as a separate item, which I'm going to read at my leisure. And it comes all the way down here, as you can see. And I can, again, convert that to a resource. I might just copy this, go back and put that back in here, gold sector analysis, and put today's date, US gold sector analysis, summary, briefing note, me in as the author of that, and I call that a briefing document. Should have used just Mick's research. I'll just add gold to that, just so that if I want to pull up all the notes in my research database that relate to gold, I can do so. I've added a couple of notes in here based on that research. Coming back and convert that to source, that's gone over to the left-hand side, which stores it. So I hope you found that useful. It's how you can bring data in the form of a CSV, very specific numerical data. It's ring-fenced within NotebookLM, so it's not hallucinating. It's not pulling in spurious data from the internet anywhere, with a given proviso that the data needs to be okay. But if we accept that it is reasonably accurate, there's some useful data in here that enables me to go away and look at the US gold sector with a fresh pair of eyes and perhaps see if there's any bargains to be had. I hope you found that useful. It's a very good example of using NotebookLM, which I find absolutely great, bearing in mind that it's a free resource that we can use as DIY investors.